Yeah.
You ready?
I am. This is really close. To Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Providence Board of Contract and Supply meeting of Monday, April 7th, 2025. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Courtney Hawkins. Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Present.
Councilman Gonzalez is absent. Councilwoman Anthony is absent. Sarah Silveria.
Present.
Elaine Richards.
Present.
Joseph DePina.
Present.
Patricia Coin Fade.
Present.
Shamari Husband.
Present.
John Arzamanian.
Present.
Dante Bellini.
Present.
Tyrell Stevens is absent. You have 9 present and 3 absent. You have a quorum.
We'd like to entertain a motion to elect myself chairperson of this meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Director Bettina, seconded by Treasurer Husband. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Please let the record reflect that we're joined today by Michael Calisi, Deputy City Solicitor.
So noted.
I'd like to entertain a motion to go to section B, opening of bids. So motion made by Director Richards, seconded by Director Coin Fade. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Section B, opening of bids. Item 1, Department of Art, Culture and Tourism. CIP Public Art Project Manager, 2-year contracts with 1-year option.
3 bids.
3 bids. This is Thought Arts LLC. A 2-year, $44,000 bid with the possibility of renewal for 1 year. The next one is Golob Art LLC, $42,965. Sunshine Enterprise USA LLC, $44,000. Item 2, Department of Art, Culture and Tourism. Vendor to provide technical and production services, 2-year contract with 1-year option.
1 bid.
1 bid. High Output LLC, and it says no cost requested at this time. Item 3, Office of City Council, furnishing and installation of flashing 20 mile per hour school zone signs at St. Pius Elementary School.
3 bids.
3 bids. Garden Engineering Constructor LLC, $73,784. Rossi Electric Company, $94,000. K5 Corporation, $70,900. Item 4, Information Technology, Barracuda Services. Two bids. Feed Prime Tech Inc., $327,446.78. Southern Computer Warehouse, $282,358.66. Item 5, Office of the Internal Auditor, professional auditing and agreed upon procedures and services fiscal year 25, 26, and 27. Two bids. First one is CBIZ CPAs, total contract $705,000. The second one is CLA. $675,000. Oh, I gave you my agenda back. Yep, thank you. Item 6, Department of Parks, operation lease of the kiosk building at Biltmore Park, 3-year lease with 1 3-year option.
There are no bids for this item will be re-advertised.
Okay. Item 7, Department of Parks, amphitheater stage improvements at Water Place Park,
Rebids.
3 bids. Marin Construction Company, $354,658. Bentley Builders, $580,000. Dubon Masonry, $274,200. Item 8, Department of Parks splash pad improvement at Father Leonard Park.
Item will be on December 21st, 2025.
Item 9, Department of People and Culture. Healthcare Consultant Services, 3-year contract with 2 one-year options for renewal.
4 bids.
4 bids. Okay, USI Insurance Services LLC, there's 2 options. Option 1 is a 3-year contract with a total of 750,000. And option 2 is an enhanced version with a 3-year contract of 750,000 also. NEP Corporate Services, $570,000. The Hill Group of New England, doing business as Cook and Company. 174,000. Although I'm not, this one is saying it's an employee benefits broker proposal. Is that right? No. Has anyone been?
Yes, it's consultant, it's a fee.
Yeah. Alliance Insurance Services, 210,000, but VB commissions, voluntary benefits commissions. Okay, item 10, Department of Public Property, fire rated shades for windows and doors in Providence Public School.
There are no bids for this. This item is being dropped.
Item 11, Department of Public Property, Providence City Hall elevator replacement.
There are bids. This item has been extended to April 21st, 2025.
Okay. Item 11, I'm sorry, item 12, Office of Sustainability. Building energy reporting software and help desk services, 3-year contract with 2 one-year options.
This item also has been extended to April 21st, 2025.
Item 13, Water Supply Board Accelerated Lead Service Line Replacement Program Contract 2.2,
2 bids.
2 bids. For a construction company, with the total amount says $0. And then the second bidder is Ritchie Drain Lane Company, and the amount is $2,997,375. Item 14, Water Supply Board. Saw cut of bituminous and concrete base roads expires 6/30/28 with 2 one-year options,
2 bids.
2 bids. Vaco Construction LLC, unit priced bid.
And Madam Chair, who's the bidder again?
Vaco? Is that- Which is- And Cut to Right Concrete Cutting Corp. $350 asphalt only. $400 for asphalt concrete. Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any unmarked bids?
No unmarked bids.
Okay, this completes the opening of bids. I'd like to entertain a motion to refer the bids to the clerk's office.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Director DePina, seconded by Treasurer Husband. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to entertain a motion to go to section C, advertising.
Second.
Motion made by Director Richards, seconded by Director Coinbig. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the advertisements in section C as well as item 6 from section B.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Director Richards, seconded by Director Bellini. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to entertain a motion to move to section A for review.
So moved.
Motion made by Director DePina, seconded by Director Richards. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Pichardo, do you have any items you'd like to review?
Yes. Number 9. 17, which is part of, that's 15 and 16, but 22. Uh, 24. And 30. And 32
Okay, do you want to start with item 9?
and 34.
Okay, item 9, what's your question on number 9?
And number 9.
Nine is being referred to finance.
Was that?
9 is being referred to finance for the hearing.
Yeah. So, it's gonna be referred to finance?
Yeah.
And, yeah, okay, that's fine, because then we will have more questions there.
Exactly.
All right.
I think 17 was your next.
Now you're- And number 17, this was part of did someone just talk a little bit about this one here in terms of that this is the only, it indicates in the sense that this is the only training institute that is eligible to provide the training. Can someone speak? on
Is there
this?
anyone here from, Housing and Human Services? No, there's no one here.
You have to have you have to be credentialed by the Department of Health, so. To be eligible, so this is the only vendor has that credential.
And we verified that that's the only vendor in the state that
I mean,
has that.
for the team, we can go back and verify it, but
Can
I
you
have
do
no
that?
reason to believe that, yeah.
Yes.
Item 22 is also being referred to City Council.
All right, we got there. Did I put 24?
Yeah, yes.
So my question on this one is, do you have any question on that one? And please pop in. Kyle's also going to chime in, if there's any other questions that we may have here. On 24, does this represent an increase, and what percentage is it?
I don't know what percentage it is, it's very low compared to the $6 million contract, but, it's for the upcoming, police academy. The
So-
body worn, additional licenses for body worn cameras.
It would be 123,000 out of
Out of the
6.3 million. So whatever percent that would be.
And that continues to be the lowest, because we're piggybacking to the state.
We already have a 5-year contract with them. This is a change order to the contract.
Change order because of the increase of participants.
Yes, yeah, increase in the licenses.
And that, in the original contract, does it, is it projected to increase a certain percentage every year or every so often?
This is an increase for new equipment.
For new equipment,
Additional equipment, because the officers all have to have the same equipment
right?
for continuity within the department.
Okay. Thank you. 27. Piggyback into interpretation and translation services.
Correct?
Is it because they provide the lowest, or do we have a
So
contract or?
they've provided services to the police department, and communications for many, many years, long before I got here. And what happened was, we tried to replace them last year,
Yeah.
and they, could not identify every single line within the city that this service is on. It would be so costly to get into another vendor to have them updated.
Can you just explain that again a little bit?
So this service is when somebody comes into a building or communications,
Yeah,
answers a dispatch. And then they are able to say that they need a translator or whatever. And within the communication system, it automatically gives them this translator.
So it's an automatic, online sort of service.
I wouldn't say, well.
It's not a person to
It's a person. It's a person, because when they come into the police department and they need the service, there's a telephone there special for these services. However, this service is also throughout all of the city departments, not just the police department. It's in communications, telecommunications, and other departments.
And this has never been put out to bid in a sense to see if there's,
Like I
Are there-
said, we looked at the bidding through that public property did last year, and, Chevelle will be able to speak to that.
So the first thing we actually went to submit, like the mixed notices, which we both.
can you speak up a little bit?
Sorry, Michelle Burgess. Early last year, what we did was we went on to bid for various forms of translation services. In this case, because it's a unique line-to-line service, we weren't able to get them to put a big line on that particular service. So they're using the Omnia contract, which is, which was put out to bid, competitively and has really low rates compared to our many vendors. So that's why we cost efficient, we want to spend it.
Thank you. What the 28 there? No.
I have 30.
Um. So 28, in essence, security services for. Again, using a piggyback. Any,
I can speak to that also.
Yeah.
So this is no, change the cost, it's just a name change, so we already have a contract with this vendor for security services. We're just changing the name that they were applying.
because they changed it, okay,
There's no cost to the city.
all right. I believe 30. Why the change order on 30, with the academy? And were they also the lowest bid, but
Anthony, will give an answer.
I can speak to that.
yeah,
So the change order for this one, 3,200 square feet. So originally there was a flood from the roof. So we did an emergency project to get the old carpet out. It was smelling, it was a mess. So once we started figuring out everything that was underneath, we had to do asbestos testing, which came back negative. And the change order is because when we removed the layer of tile, there was another material underneath, and then there was this, it was like a foam slash fabric type of material that was pretty much embedded into it. So the cost to try to get all that out properly, to patch the floor and put the new flooring down, was going to be expensive. So the change order is to do a layover of 1/4-inch plywood throughout the entire floor, which comes out to about $5 a square foot installed.
and that wasn't foreseen during that bidding process when they got awarded this
No,
this
so
contract.
because when we did the test samples.
Yeah.
For the asbestos, it was, we started it downstairs in the actual police academy. So I knew that there was the tile, I didn't know that other material was underneath the tile, like completely embedded into the floor and the wood.
Hmm.
Kind of a way of knowing how bad it can be.
Well, thank you. On 34. 34,
What's going to Committee also.
Committee also. I want to, did we, oh, okay. 22 is being referred to, let's be done. So let's have a question. I think most.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director Delgado, did you have any questions?
Most of my questions were kind of detailed towards things that are being referred to, finance committee. So I'll just hold off on some of those questions. I do just have like overarching questions about change orders and just contract management. Like, for example, Hope High School 832, so they'll be 834. I know they're being referred, but just in a larger sense, what safeguards are we putting into place to implement? To reduce the frequent changes, like unforeseen circumstances, like when we're first planning out projects. How much are we able to forecast in these risks that are happening here? Because some of these contracts have like effectively like double some of them. So what guardrails are they, now that we're going through this and lessons learned, are there any guardrails kind of get put in place so we're not sliding our budget increasing like that much?
And some, hold on, John. For the most part, the ones you're pointing to are not change orders because of unforeseen circumstances, but additional scope that's being requested by the district
Okay.
as part of the project. So Hope High School is an example of that. When you have a vendor in there doing a bunch of work in an effort to get the project done quickly, it's adding to their scope because it's been previously bid out and they're like the lead contractor and the vendor during that project.
So this change order, I believe, was for some safety requirements, I think fire and some like guardrails or something of that
That were
sort.
additionally added as
So-
they were part of the original scope.
So they were already part of the original planning for the project.
They were not part of the original planning for the project.
So that's, I guess that's kind of my question, and the consideration of the initial scope, that would have been part of the
No,
assessment.
because for Hope, for example, that it's a dance studio, like Marin was building a dance studio and installing AV equipment.
And
It wasn't a full assessment of the building.
Okay, so then it's not like the overall fire system, like
Correct.
the whole one.
Yeah.
Okay, over there. Thank you very much for that. My other questions were in regard to some of the stuff that being referred to finance, so I do defer on that. I know there are some reporting that happened previously as well for WB, MBE for the school projects as well. I don't know if we have any more questions on that as well there.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of report out that Director Algernon was nice enough to provide some details on year-to-date MBE subcontracts and subcontractors for the school construction, and based on what we saw, we spent about 130 million, and we spent less than 4 million with MBEs with city addresses. Are we taking any steps to do a better job with that, or is there another metric that we can look at to maybe identify more participation among local MBEs? Or just local?
City council would have to take action to change the purchasing.
Okay.
The purchasing ordinance currently doesn't prioritize contractors at a certain address. So even if we had 10 bidders locally from Providence here that weren't the lowest bidder,
But these are subs.
doesn't matter. It all feeds into the MWBE percentage, but we don't have the ability to prioritize people using certain subs over other subs when people are winning a contract.
Oh, sorry, I think that's.
So the council would need to change the ordinance for that to change.
Just to chime in on that, when you say change the ordinance, is the good faith ordinance that you're speaking about?
The award ordinance,
Is they talking about the good faith effort though with the WB, MB?
it doesn't specify in Providence.
I'm just speaking about WB, MB, not local.
He's speaking in local.
Okay,
The number he just gave was for MWBEs in Providence.
okay.
There's nothing in that ordinance that relates to the local.
Just a pivot from what he's saying, I'm just asking about WB, MB in
Yeah.
general, like, I know right now this is just a goal, it's not a requirement. So the change necessary in order to increase WB, MB will be a change to that good faith ordinance, is what you're saying.
I'm not gonna speculate about what the change is. I'm just saying that like there's not a, there. If you ask the purchasing team to follow the law,
Mhm.
there's nothing that allows them to do what is being asked.
Okay, so right now it's a goal, it's not a requirement, basically what you're saying.
I don't know, Kyle. I don't know what you're asking. I don't know, I would have to sit and look with you, and I don't wanna speak to something that I might be wrong.
I think that number was just shocking to me, so, short of changing the ordinances, there's nothing we can do in terms of practice. Or,
We're not allowed to. I can't value something that is local over something that is not, based on the way things are currently awarded. I would be breaking the ordinance to do that,
but for the subs, the contractors are picking their own sub.
but it's part of their bidding process.
So,
So if I say to them, I want you to use local vendors, and if it costs more, I don't care, my priority is local vendors, they're not gonna get the contract.
so you're saying that we can't say that legally today?
Correct.
Okay.
Along those lines, where does, First Source come into play in terms of, the contractor being a prime and then
That's all,
utilizing subprime?
First Source
So
is
how do
all being
we-
monitored.
I'm sorry,
Source is all being monitored by, Building Futures.
right, but is that? Can that be sort of the policy in essence to encourage more participant within the
Certainly.
local Providence area?
Yeah, that's hiring, right? It's
Yeah.
not the location of the vendor. Which
Right,
is what
but-
the treasurer is talking about. So we do monitor for First Source for local hiring.
Yeah.
But you could do, even vendors who are in compliance there aren't gonna show up in the way the treasurer is identifying, because it could be a Cranston-based company, or, you know what I mean, that is, we're hiring people from Providence.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily owned by
Right.
someone in Providence, which
So-
is, and I'm not saying that what you're after isn't important and valid. I'm just saying that it's not the way the purchasing rules are currently constructed.
And I think we use, address zip, just because that was the only indicator that we had, so.
Right.
For me, we should be, even in these bids as they're presented to us, we should, have some indication of local participation in there, so.
That's always been the advocacy, and I think that we have to figure out sooner or later, we're already into year two, at least under our administration, to see how we can get to that. And I know that there's a report being compiled, but by the time that's done, it will be another 2 or 3 years.
Right, but just to push on it, to be clear, we would have to make a decision that we're gonna award not based on low bidder, based on other factors that are important. Which is maybe fine, but it is like, these laws have existed long before any of us have been here. And that comes with a cost, that maybe is the right thing to do, but it would require a whole different compliance program, like. Are we just talking about if your business has a mailing address in Providence, or does it have to be owned by someone who lives in Providence? Like, there's layers of factors that have to be drilled into to try to accomplish what I think the treasurer is trying to accomplish. But it's not an easy thing necessarily.
I just wanted to illustrate that the lack of those is
Yeah.
yielding an outcome. That I just reported on.
Yeah.
Understandable, I think that we could work on that.
I
I mean, and not to say that that we want to skirt any law, but it's just more, just like the MBE programs. There's a weighted checklist that you all get to sit around and check to see if a bid comes in and if the bidder is more suitable to the project, then you're able to make that determination.
That's not true.
No,
If the bidder is not the low bidder, the administration actually doesn't have, I get referred to finance for lots of reasons. If I'm not picking the low bidder. We have this problem all the time, a vendor who has done a terrible job for us over and over again is the low bidder. Technically, I'm supposed to pick them. It's not really within my authority to say, you know what, these people have done a terrible job, we're not picking them. So it requires some work to change the purchasing process and ordinance here, because it's all been geared around picking the low bidder.
I just say, I think it's in the charter too. I think it's a charter.
It's a charter change.
yeah, it
change.
is. Okay,
Even more.
thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Okay. All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 49 in section A on a roll call vote with items 9, 22, 32, 33, and 34 being referred to city council.
So moved.
Motion made by Director DePina, seconded by Director Richards. Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Courtney Hawkins. Aye. Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Aye.
Councilman Gonzalez is absent. Councilwoman Anthony is absent. Sarah Silveria.
Aye.
Elaine Richards. Joseph DePina.
Aye.
Patricia Coin Fade. Shamari Husband.
Nay to everything. Except for 30.
John Arzamanian.
Aye.
Dante Bellini.
Aye.
Tyrell Stevens is absent. So you have 9 ayes and 3 absent on number 30. And you have 8 ayes, 1 nay, 3 absent on all other matters. The motion carries, the matters are approved.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to go to section D, approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Director Bellini, seconded by Director Richards. All in favor? All opposed. The committee has been provided a copy of the minutes from the March 24th. From the minutes from the March 24th, 2025. Are there any edits or corrections? Right, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes with Councilman Pichardo abstaining. I will also abstain because I wasn't here. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Director DePina, seconded by Director Richards. All in favor with me and Councilman Pichardo abstaining.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Director Quinn, seconded by Clifford Husband. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.